Yeah, well, I'm very excited to be here this morning and share with y'all just a little bit about me so that you know who I am. And uh, uh, as I said, just a little bit about me. I am the founder of LHS Consulting. I've been a board president for the St. Louis Bel Canto Chorus for over 3 years. And you can see a picture of my family. I've been married to the same wonderful man for 38 years, have four amazing adult children who hang out at the house quite frequently, which is kind of neat. Usually it has to do with food, and they're calling and saying, Mom, what's for dinner? I don't want that. I'm going home. Bye. But that's kids if you've had kids. But as you've already heard, I serve individuals, teams, and entire organizations because I'm really passionate about helping people to be more of their best self, to show up with your best every day at the table. And they do that through scalable people development. And what that means is at the heart of my approach is that true leadership begins with self awareness and personal growth. It starts with you as the leader. And so it's designed to equip leaders to reach 100% health so that you can lead with purpose, with peace, and with the impact that you want to have on the world as champion builders. It's scalable people development that gives you leadership language that goes viral through your organization, visual tools that are memorable and sticky and grow with you, transformation of your teams and your leaders, and then that healthy transformation is multiplied into the rest of the organization, new members, and that kind of thing through ongoing training, coaching, apprenticing, mentoring, that kind of thing. And so today, the way that we're going to use that and look at it is understanding that self awareness piece, because understanding your own story, your own journey is critical to you being able to fulfill your role as a leader. The question you have to be asking yourself is, who am I? What are my strengths? What are my growth opportunities and weaknesses? And how do those things impact my team, my family, my relationships throughout? So I use a be, do, lead kind of format. And the B is that self awareness piece. Who am I? I want to be the best me that I can be. And then the do is taking those insights that you gain about yourself and turning them into action. But it's more than just executing on a task, it's actually leading with intention to create high performing teams and build that culture of champions. And so I was, my husband and I watched recently, we like children's movies every once in a while just to kind of have fun with it. And so we watched this movie. It's a 2018 version of Christopher Robin. So it's, if you're familiar with Pooh Bear and remember Christopher Robin. So in this movie, we find Christopher Robin as an adult, kind of a theme you're seeing in some of those recap retro movies. But he's working, he's got a wife and a daughter, and he's striving and driving himself to achieve and to perform and to succeed at his job. But he finds himself in this situation where his boss has told him, we have to make cuts, and we have to, we're not, making our budgets, we need to make some cuts, and I'm putting that job on you. And if you want to save your department and not have people losing their jobs or the entire department being cut, by Monday morning is one of those kind of deals, you have to have this on my desk and make these cuts. He was supposed to go away with his wife and daughter for the weekend. They'd been planning it, promised it for a long time, and he had to tell him, I can't go. In the process of all this, Pooh Bear comes looking for him and finds him not in the Hundred Acre Wood, but in London. And that's kind of a story in its own. Pooh Bear in London is kind of funny. And he decides, even though he's under this pressure deadline and he's trying to work himself like crazy, he's got to get Pooh Bear out of there and take Pooh Bear back to the Hundred Acre Woods. And I love Pooh Bear because in his innocent simplicity, some very profound truths come out of his mouth. And so they're riding the train, and Pooh Bear is, all engrossed in, can I have a red balloon? No, why do you need a red balloon? Well, red balloons make me happy. It would make me really happy to have a red balloon. And he's trying to get Pooh Bear quiet. So Pooh Bear's looking out the window of the train, going, tree, cloud, man on a bench, grass, dog. But he's finding joy in these simple things. And pretty soon Pooh Bear looks at him and he said, What's in that case, that bag that you carry everywhere? Because Christopher Robin had his briefcase. He's trying to work through all this. And he says, Well, that's where I keep my very important things. So this is my bag of very important things. And again, in Pooh's innocence, he says, So is your daughter in your bag of very important things? And he says, No. And it kind of jerks him up short as he begins then throughout the movie to process this thought of what is in my bag of very important things. And is it really the things that are valuable to me? And so he gets to the Hundred Acre Woods and he begins to discover that he's lost himself. He's lost the essence of who he is, and trapped in the grind of work and just tasks that he has to accomplish and trying to please other people. And what's in his very important things bag is the things that are important to somebody else, not the things that are important to him. He slays the heffalump, the mythical heffalump, and again just begins to remember the joy of doing these simple things and begins to find himself. And so, what I'd like for you to do this morning is similar. I would like for you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. If you're not, just kind of look down. Don't look at your computers. Don't be distracted by anything. But think of your life for a moment like that movie, and think about what chapter or what scene is playing out in your life right now, and play that movie to the end. If nothing in your life changes, how does your movie end right now? So take a moment and just kind of process that, play out the scenes. What's the end of your movie right now as it is? And then I want you to back that up just a little bit I'm going to rewind to the movie, and I want you to play that through again. But this time, I want you to think about what would change and how would that ending of your movie change if you felt like your life was fulfilling and you were living your purpose and work wasn't a grind or a stress or something you were just striving for, but it had meaning. Play your movie out now. How does your movie end and how do you feel about that? So, did something change for you to get to where you want your life to be and your movie to end? What needs to change? And so today we're going to look at it like a compass. And that compass is going to give us direction. And possibly for some of us, it's going to help us set a new course so that we actually end with what we want out of life. And we're going to be examining what's in your bag of very important things. And is it the things that are really valuable to you and important to you? Or have you got some things you need to unpack from your bag and some other things that maybe you need to fill your bag with? When you come to a place in your life where you're feeling stuck and burnt out and dissatisfied with what's going on, you just feel like you're overwhelmed, out of sorts, unmotivated about the future, it's usually because we don't have a vision of how we want our movie to end. We're lacking that vision. So, we're going to spend some time here this morning, starting by just defining our baseline. Where are we at right now? How do we feel about things? We're going to start with how do we feel about things today? If you've got your workbook, look at page 2. And I'm also going to ask you if you got the little worksheet, which this is it should be a bifold. There's actually two on one sheet of paper. So that's why you see doubles of some things. But if you fold that in half, you can see it all. And we're going to look at where is your peace at today? How are you really feeling about things? And this was a game changer for me when I learned this tool because I was in that place where I was trying to figure out where do I belong? I was transitioning from education to something and I didn't know where I fit and what I was supposed to be doing. So I had a job, but it was kind of a job. Um, and I didn't have a lot of peace about it. And so, if you think about it, we're all walking around with this number over our head all the time. And that number represents the amount of peace that we feel at any given time. And the thing about our peace is it can change quickly. You might get out of bed in the morning and feel like, oh my goodness, what a great day. It's going to, starting fresh. I've got these things that I'm going to accomplish, and I'm going to get this done today, and I've got this going on. And you feel good about things, and then you walk into the office and you get hit by five things that, this happened and this happened, and I need you to take care of this. And suddenly your peace goes and it just plummets and falls. And suddenly you find yourself in the middle of chaos instead of peace. But we want to examine overall where is your peace right now. We're going to do that through this 5-part framework. And I want you to remember that peace is not the same as happiness. Um, Happiness is they're both emotions, but happiness is an emotion that says something good is happening right now. Where peace is that sense of calm and comfort, even when there's chaos all around you, even when you're stressed out, you can feel that calm assurance that it's going to be okay. And if we're living within our purpose, our peace can stay high, even when we're facing those challenges. It's calm in the midst of chaos and challenge, right? So let's look at the little worksheet that you have, the little folder note card. We're going to start with our purpose. We're going to look at how do you feel about your purpose? What's your level of peace? Think on a 1 to 100. What percentage of peace would you have? And there's some questions in the note card that'll help you think through this. This is not an exact science. It's not, it's just an overall feeling. It's very subjective to how you feel about things. But think about, do your passions match the work that you do, the line of work that you're in? Put a number on that, 1 to 100. Is your daily work satisfying and meaningful? Do you come home from work saying, "I love what I did today"? Can other people see that in you? That, boy, she's passionate or he's passionate about what he's doing. And then I want you to think about, what are you good at? Do you have influence with your colleagues regarding your work? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like your work fits into your conscious competence? In other words, the things that you are naturally good at, it's utilizing your strengths. Or do you feel like, there's a lot of stuff I don't get to do in this job that I think I'm really good at? Would you be considered an expert in your work and what you're doing? And then think about, what can you be paid for? Is your sector or industry growing? Is your specific expertise in demand? Are people willing to pay what you're worth? Those are all pieces of purpose. And then, what do you believe the world needs? Will your work be valuable over the next 25 plus years? At the end of this movie, is what you're doing today really count? Are you solving problems that actually help people? Is your work or business in high demand? Those are some of the kinds of things you're thinking about when you're thinking, what's my level of purpose? So I'm going to give you just a minute to think that through, and put a number on it from 1 to 100. And if you're using the workbook, this is also on page 2 there. So you've kind of got two things to juggle on this one. Then the next one we're going to look at is people. How do you feel about the people in your life? And this encompasses both at work and at home. All of these do. This encompasses both your life at work and your life at home. So, how do you feel about the people in your life? You might pick the top 3 to 5 on the little worksheet. It's like the top 3. Who are those people and how do you feel about those relationships? Are they solid relationships? Are you spending time with the people that really matter to you? Or you have a good relationship with them? How do you feel about the team that you work with at work? Are they people that you like, that you have good relationships with? Or is it a toxic environment where, I don't trust these people, I don't like these people, not a good situation, I'm not happy, I'm too busy to spend time with the people I want to, so my people index is low, or I just don't have very many friends, I don't have time for that, or I just moved to a new city, I don't have time for that, haven't made friends yet. Is there something missing in those relationships in your life? How healthy are they? How fulfilling are they? I'll give you just a minute to jot those down, and then think about why. Why is that low? Why is that important? What's missing in those people relationships? And then I want you to think about your place. And here we're talking about your actual physical place. Do you like the house that you live in? Do you like the city that you live in? Do you like the neighborhood that you live in? Or do you live in a little apartment and you can't wait to buy a house? Do you, is the city a city that you like? Um, do you live, an hour away from the place that you work? And so the commute is really a hassle. And so that's going to drop your place index. That, well, the place that I'm at's not great because I spend too much time on the road, that kind of thing. So put a number on that as well. What would you say about your place? Work, home, community. And if anybody has any questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll try to get those answered. There are people monitoring the chat and I'm trying to watch it a little bit as well. So feel free to ask any questions or even any comments that you have. Drop them in the chat and we'll share them. We always learn best from each other. So, and then the next one is your personal health. And your personal health encompasses both your physical health, your emotional health, uh, and your spiritual health. You can think emotional, mental health. How are you doing in those areas? And put those together to what would you give us the overall score then for those things? If you say, well, I never get to the gym, I never exercise, and I know I need to, so that's going to get a lower score. Or, my spiritual life isn't where I think it ought to be, and so that's a lower score. Or maybe I'm just really mentally stressed, and that's a lower score. And then the last one is provision. And provision is just that. Do I feel like I have the resources that I need and want to take care of my family, myself? How well do you think that you're providing? I mean, and it's not so much want, I say loosely, because it's not, well, I wish I were making, $1 million a year. But I'm not. Do you have what you need, or are there things missing that it's difficult because you're not providing at the rate that would make you more comfortable? Like you're always worried about your income, or you don't feel like you're getting paid what you're worth, or what the industry demand is, that kind of thing. So if you have a percentage in all five of those, average those together, add them up, divide by five, and that's going to be your overall peace score. And put that in the middle. If you're using the little worksheet on the outside of it, you have a place to do that. You have a place to write those different scores. And I want you to think about what's going right. Look at your scores there while you're averaging. I'll go ahead and talk, but what's going right when you look at that, what's high? Where I got high scores there. Oh, great. Where is it low? What's not going well? And places that you need to put some attention to work on and get those scores up. Or what's missing? Like there's a hole here and I need to, maybe it's in people. I just haven't taken time to make those friendships and spend time with the people that I care about and relationships I have. That's missing in my life. So what's your overall score? Where is your peace at today? And so remember that peace is about today. And the last question I have for you is, which one of those is your driver? Out of those five, what's the most important one to you? Like for me, purpose is really important. Um, it's hard for me to be happy without my purpose. But as I mentioned earlier, I was in that job where I really wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I wasn't utilizing my skills, but I liked the people. I'm a people person. And so I liked the people that I was with, and I was able to find meaning in my work, even though the actual task wasn't um, within my purpose. I was able to find that within it because I liked the people. So people is a really high driver for me. For you, it might be provision. I've got to know that I have the money that I need to do what I want to do, and it's not there. I'm not comfortable. I'm always worried about our income. Or maybe it's the place. If I just lived in the right place, I could, these other things, if they're off, I could deal with it if I was in the right place. So which one of those is the most important to you as your driver? And I can live with all the others, but I can't live with this one. Out. Some of you are those internal processors that want time to reflect on this. So you're going to come back to this later and probably continue to process it to come up with those answers. And some of you know right off the top of your head how you feel about that. So peace is about today. Where are things at today? If your peace is low, we need to make some changes. We need to fix that and get your peace high. Do remember that your peace can overall be high. And if you don't know how to manage your emotions, you get to work and you get hit with stuff and your peace will plummet. We want to get you to a place where your peace is definitely above 85%, but even in the 90% range, most all of the time, even in the middle of chaos, you learn to manage that. Then I want you to look at your hope. Hope is about tomorrow. How do you feel about tomorrow? When you play that movie out like we did earlier, did it end where you wanted it to? If nothing changed in your life, how much hope do you have for tomorrow? And so we're going to look at the hope meter and look at, do you feel like the captain of your ship over here that, man, I am confident, I know where I'm going. I am driving this ship right where it needs to be. Or do you kind of feel like this guy over here on the other side that, man, I just feel battered, burned out, a little hopeless. I don't know if I can get this ship out of this storm. I'm driving it. I'm working hard. I'm going somewhere, but I'm not sure where that somewhere is and if we're going to make it, right? So do you feel ecstatic about your future that, man, I know where I'm going. I'm excited about it. Or do you feel defeated and hopeless about it? Well, obviously, you can be anywhere in between, just struggling, stuck, kind of meh. So, the way to move forward is to create a clear and compelling vision that you know where you want your movie to end. And that's where you become the captain of your ship that knows where you're going, can ride out the storm confidently. If you've done any boating, I kind of like the boating analogy. If you've done any boating, you have to drive into the waves. If you don't, you get sideswiped, and if it's a bad enough wave, it can flip your boat, no matter how big it is. If it's a big enough wave, and so sometimes to get to your destination, if it's a stormy water or just, very windy and choppy, other boats out there, whatever, you can have to do some zigzagging to stay perpendicular to the waves so they don't beat you up. And you have to judge which waves can I stay perpendicular to and I don't have to turn my ship, and where do I need to turn my craft to get. So sometimes you zigzag to your destination to ride out the waves. But if all you're doing is battling the waves and you don't know what destination you have way out there, then you have a difficulty and it's problematic. So where is your hope? Where would you gauge your hope for tomorrow? Our objectives for today are to help you identify your giftedness and the things that energize you, the things that would be your purpose and your passion. We want to understand the importance of finding the clarity on these things. Who am I? What's my story? What is my hope? What is my vision of the future? And how do I want my movie to end? And then to learn to keep that vision alive once we determine what it is and commit to applying those insights. That's the real key. You can have insights all day long, but if you don't commit to applying them and taking action on them, then they're kind of meaningless, actually. I love this quote by Abraham Lincoln. I'm a big quote person, but I love this quote by Abraham Lincoln where he says, "The best way to predict your future is if you create it." You have to take charge of your future and don't act like a victim who's just passively waiting for somebody to come along and help you and tell you what to do and help you get out of where you are. You have to create the future that you've always dreamed of by shaping it through your thoughts, your actions, and the choices that you make along the way. It's about finding personal clarity through alignment. If you want to find work life balance, which is a big buzzword today, right? If you want to find that work life balance, then you have to align every area of your life with a compelling vision of the future, the ideal future that you want, the future that you've always dreamed of, right? And then you have to have clearly defined values that you take action on to bring that vision to life. So we start by identifying what is it that we're dissatisfied with, which is kind of what we did with the hope meter and the peace index. Where is your dissatisfaction? And again, for me, the first time I did the peace index, it was like, oh, duh, that's where I'm off and why I'm not happy where I'm at. So when you can identify the dissatisfaction, then you can say, okay, what would I rather have? And you can create a compelling vision of a preferred future. And that makes the natural next steps much easier to identify so that you can overcome the resistance to change. It gives you a motivation for, why do I want to make this change? Change is hard. So why do I want to do that? When we're aligned with our passion, our purpose, and our values, we can get unstuck. We're motivated and even excited to go to work every day. So when we're doing what we love and loving what we do, we have that work life balance that we're all seeking. It's what we want. You want to be excited to get out of bed in the morning and go, I get to go to work, not, oh my gosh, I got to go do this again, right? Now, obviously, there's always parts of your job that are not going to be perfect. I don't care how perfect your job is and how much it fits you. There's going to be parts you don't like, parts where problems come along and you got to deal with those. But again, when your piece is set and you're managing those emotions, you can ride out that storm with calm confidence and not with stress and burnout and defeat. So, the benefits of clarity are that your peace goes up and you have a better outlook or a better hope for the future. You find balance in your life. You increase your productivity and satisfaction and fulfillment in what you're doing because you're happy with what you're doing. You're going to be more productive at it because you're motivated to do it and you like it. It's exciting. That improves your relationships and your synergy with others. When you get around other people who share that vision and encourage you in that vision, you have better relationships. And remember, everything that you do at work impacts your home life. Everything that happens at home impacts your work life. They're not separate, they're codependent on each other. You know, if you leave home and you had a fight with your spouse or your child this morning, you don't go to work with a high level of peace. And it shows up. You might be grouchier. You might be, less tolerant to the people at work. Your mind is distracted and you're just having a hard time focusing because of what happened at home. Vice versa is true as well, right? So when you have prioritization and a clear direction of where you're going, you're able to know where and how to apply your energy most effectively. Your compass is set with where you want to go, and it keeps you moving in that direction. And the interesting thing is, um, with a compass, there's what they call the azimuth. And if your azimuth is off, so you're supposed to be going this way, if the azimuth is off just a fraction, take that out over distance and you get further and further away, right? And so over time, even if you're a little bit off now, play to the end of the movie and you're way off. So we want to get you set on the right course, moving in the right direction so that you have the ending that you want, the future that you've always dreamed of. Every organization has mission, vision, value statements, and these statements are what helps set that direction for them. It's your compass, your GPS that gets you there. And it helps to create guardrails to keep you moving in that direction because you're looking at the compass going, whoops, nope, that's not the way I want to go. I want to be over here. Every individual needs those same statements to help them align with the things that are most important to you so that the things in your bag of very important things are the things that really matter to you. And if you're a business owner, you may already have those. And most of us in our businesses, our values and maybe even our mission statement is plastered on a wall somewhere, it's stuck up somewhere, because they guide us. And obviously, our career is a part of this, but it's your personal life too. And your vision of what you're doing in your life and your passions should be the same in your personal life and your business life. It's just you're playing them out in a different venue. So there's a little bit of difference in it in that regard. So, what is a vision? That seems like a silly question, but it's the art of seeing the potential before it actually becomes a reality, right? I can see what I want my life to be, and hopefully, you were able to envision how you want your movie to end, even though it hasn't happened yet. So, it's a clear and compelling blueprint of your future that excites you and it fulfills you. But it requires a balance of both dreaming about it and actually doing something about it. If all we do is dream, we won't get there, right? We have to take action on that. So let's look at somebody where this was a true statement. Some of you may be familiar with Katherine Johnson. She was the main character in the movie Hidden Figures, which is a true story. She's a real person, a real character. And she is a person that embodies this idea of mission, vision, values guiding her life. So Catherine was born in 1918 in West Virginia as a young Black child. And her parents saw in her giftedness in mathematics. She was a brilliant mathematician that was like really indispensable at solving really complex equations for celestial navigation and that kind of thing. But at the time, if you think about 1918, um, women, little girls, rarely made it past maybe the eighth grade. Maybe they graduated from high school, but even that wasn't very common. And for a young girl of color, that was even more true. Like her opportunities to go to school were very slim. But her parents saw this talent in her and they had a vision, and so they packed up everything and they moved somewhere where she could get a good education. And she did, and she actually graduated from college, which was really unheard of back then for any woman. But she graduated with not one but two different degrees, one in mathematics and one in French. And she eventually went to work for NASA of all places. And at NASA, she had quite a battle in front of her. She was in a culture where women weren't highly valued and people of color were certainly not highly valued and didn't have high powerful jobs, but she had a determination to move forward, and so she stuck it out when she had to go to the restroom across the campus in a different building. And if I remember correctly, I think she may have even had to ask permission to do that. Rain, snow, didn't matter what the weather was, she had to go outside, and all of her colleagues did as well. But she ended up working on the Mercury program, which was the early space program where John Glenn, the first guy that orbited the Earth, computers were brand new. Computers came on the scene, and John Glenn said, "I'm not getting in that space capsule until she does the computations and says that they're okay. I don't trust this newfangled computer thing. Not going with that." She was also part of the Apollo space program, which is the one that put men on the moon. She was part of the space shuttle program and was even helping, contributing to planning a mission to Mars at the time. And so she overcame the barriers of racism, segregation, with a determination and a vision or a hope for a better tomorrow, not only for the advancement of science, but and the space program, but also for women, and especially women of color. She insisted on things like they had these traditionally male only high level meetings, and she insisted on being a part of them, even when they didn't want her there. So she eventually earned the respect of her colleagues and a place at the table as a key player in the NASA program. So eventually in 2015, many years later, she did win the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Obama. She had the movie made after, and then the area of the Johnson Computational Research Facility Space Center was named after her. So it took her years for her vision to be realized. And there were a lot of challenges along the way. But because she had that vision, she was able to overcome those things. So let's look at what are the characteristics of a person with purpose. Well, first off, she had a clear vision of a preferred future. It started with her parents, who had a vision of what she could do. And then she had a vision of what she wanted and how she could do it. And she stuck with that vision because she had a purpose she was passionate about. And she overcame the grind and the chaos of bigotry, bias, lack of opportunity. She created her own opportunity with a sense of purpose and a passion to make a difference. And by mastering the art of vision, strategy, and execution, we can do that too. A strategy, she had a strategy to achieve that vision. She had a way that she was going to accomplish it. She was going to get her degree. She was going to get a job. She was going to be part of that meeting. She was going to make sure that they knew that she knew what she was doing, right? And then she executed on that strategy. She didn't just sit back, even when roadblocks came and they said, "You can't be in this meeting." She said, "You need me in this meeting." She went anyway. We can not just dream of a better future, but we can bring those dreams to reality in vivid color. Thinking the movie theme is going on today, but think about The Wizard of Oz. It starts in black and white, but when she lands in the wonderful land of Oz, everything comes to life in brilliant color vision. I think was the term panavision or color vision at the time, and that can be your life. It can suddenly come to life in those vivid living colors. It can continue to evolve and to inspire you throughout your journey, even when the journey is changing. It becomes that GPS that guides you to your destination and around the inevitable obstacles that you're going to face. So, vision is more than just goals and tasks. It's living a life that is aligned with your core values, your ambitions, and the impact you want to have. All of us want to impact our world, whether it's our workplace, our children, our spouse, our community. We want to have impact. So, it's bigger than just the task. It's about imagining a life that aligns with your values. What's in your bag of important things, right? Vision is your compass for life. It's about moving forward with passion. Without a vision, you can end up aimless and indecisive, unsure of where you're headed or how to get there, and never really reaching that satisfaction of the dream that you have. But you want to keep your vision front and center so that it reminds you every day of where your destination is and how you want your movie to end. For some of you, you're visionary thinkers. And so envisioning a future that you desire is easy for you. You can picture something that's not already present. But for some of you, that's really difficult. You're a concrete thinker. And so imagining something that doesn't exist is your challenge, but you can do it. Visionary thinkers, you got three or four visions going at one time. Your challenge is honing in on one of them. What's the one that is the most important to me and sticking with it? So that's kind of how that goes. And so, one of the things we're going to use is this tool that's going to help you figure out, well, what is my purpose? What is my vision of a better future? It's called the 70-30 principle. And in the 70-30 principle, think of it as right handed and left handed. What I do in my dominant hand, which for most of us is right hand, lefties think left hand, right? So it's easy for me. It's unconscious competence. I don't think about it. I pick up my pen and I write. I pick up my fork and I eat. I don't concentrate on it. I just do it without thinking. So I want you all to do this. Is a seems like a very simplistic exercise, but I want you to do it. Pick up your pen in your non-dominant hand and write your name. If you had food in front of you, I'd say try to eat. If you're like me, you probably can write your name, but it looks pretty bad. May not even be readable, right? When we do things in our non dominant hand, it's hard work. I have to think about it. Simple things, even brushing my teeth with my left hand is just awkward. It just doesn't feel right. It's not natural. So I want you to think about the things in your life that are natural to you. They're your strengths. They're energizing. They're not challenging for you to do. And then I want you to think about the learned behaviors, your 30 that's in your left hand. What are the tasks that you do that are draining? I have to concentrate on them. Um, they're learned behaviors. It's not that I can't do them, and I may even be really good at them, but I don't enjoy them. They're draining. Where we want to be in our life is this balance of 70% of the tasks that I do are in my unconscious competence so that I have the energy to do the 30% that is not in my conscious competence, that's draining. If we're upside down, if 70% of what I do is in my left hand, I'm going to be so exhausted at the end of the day. Everything's upside down, right? So we want to learn to leverage our strengths because that helps us develop the strategies to realize our vision, and it helps us understand what it is that we're good at. Your strengths actually open the door to clarifying the things that you're passionate about and what your purpose is. So I want you to take a minute again in your notebook. I think we're on page 3, maybe. Apologize, I lost track of what page we were on. But do this personal reflection. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes to think about and list what are the tasks that are in my 70, what are the tasks that are in my 30. So you might start by just writing down all of your tasks, daily tasks, both at home and at work, and drop them in one of those two buckets and see where the most fall. And then kind of rate what is my 70/30. Am I actually at a 50/50? Am I at a 30/70 or an 80/20? The reality is we can only sustain being out of balance for about a year, and then we hit burnout, complete just um, we're not designed that way. And think about what stage, maybe you just took on a new job, so you are out of balance, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm learning new processes. I'm learning new things because this is a new job. So this is temporary. But if I've been in this job for 15 years and I'm still at a 30/70, mm, that's burnout, right? That's where my peace is low, my hope is low, my fulfillment is low. So take just 2 minutes to kind of make this list. I'll probably give you more than 2 minutes, actually. Okay. So if you need to work on that some more later, that's totally fine. Actually, I suggest it because again, it takes us time to process all these things and kind of figure it out. So we're looking at the daily tasks: phone calls, email, scheduling, social media posts, meetings, taking kids to soccer, whatever that might look like, right? And the things that are in our 70 are the things that will help us identify what our passions are. And your passions, you're going to utilize those passions and those strengths to energize you and excite you. So our vision is our passion, but in order for it to be realistic, it has to use our superpowers. It has to fit into the things that we're actually good at. um, I'm never going to get to sing the national anthem at the World Series, no matter how passionate I am about singing, if the only place I should ever sing is in the shower, right? That's just not going to happen. You think about the little boy that almost every little boy wants to play Major League Baseball, or these days it's soccer, you know. But I'm never going to get to do that if I can't play the game. I'm terrible at it. So your passions and your purpose are going to align with your strengths. So this exercise helps you look at, what is it that I'm good at? What do I really enjoy doing? And it's energizing to me. I don't have to think about it. Don't, and sometimes it's hard to differentiate. Am I good at this because I've done it for 20 years? Or am I naturally good at this because I love it? This is, man, this is what, Katherine Johnson loved math. I can't imagine that personally, but but she loved doing math and solving problems. So what is it that you love? That's the question we're looking at here. And then realizing that it's your passion that empowers you to fulfill your purpose and to overcome those challenges that are there, that get in our way and keep us, or try to keep us, from our success. Passion is that intense enthusiasm or love for something. And our passion encompasses our vision. I love this. Therefore, this is what I want to see in the world. I have a friend who is passionate about everybody being able to play hockey. So her purpose, her passion is hockey, everybody playing hockey. But really, beyond that, her passion is helping the disabled be able to do lots of things in life. So her passion probably is more of that, helping people with disabilities. So her purpose was to create a foundation and a blind hockey club, and that's what she did. She also worked on some other things to help disabled people, some huge projects. But our passion is what fuels and energizes us to help us persevere and stay the course, stay on track, and take that next step, even when it's challenging. Pop in the chat real quick. What do you think was Katherine Johnson's passion? Just pop it in the chat. What do you think was Katherine Johnson's passion? It's good, Stephen. Good, Jennifer. Got innovation, making a place for herself in the world when others didn't always accept her. Obviously, part of her passion was math, advancing science in the space program, women. Obviously we can't name for sure what somebody else's passion is, but we see these things in her life for sure. And so your passion should be something that others recognize in you, because it's where you're focusing your time and your energy. So, again, I want you to take a moment of personal reflection here and focus on um, what, yeah, okay. Thought I skipped something there for a moment. Focus on what is your dream future? What is your preferred future and the end of your movie? What do you want that to look like? Vision focuses on the future. What do you want the future to look like? If I could do anything, no holds barred, what do I want my future to look like? For me, my vision is I want to empower everyone, to empower them, liberate them, and equip them to lead with purpose, peace, and impact in their world for good. And I can say that has been my purpose or my passion from when I was teaching. That was my passion. That's what I wanted to do, is all of those things. I didn't recognize it then, but that's what it was. And it's still what I'm doing today, just in a different venue. So keep it short. Your vision should be something that's short, one sentence at most, easy to remember and easy to share. Think about businesses, Nike, just do it. It's short, it's easy to remember. And there's an exercise that you can do. We don't have time to do it now, obviously, but if that's something you're kind of struggling with, it's like, well, I really have no idea. Do a 20 and 20. So take 20 minutes and write 20 statements. Don't edit them, don't judge them, just brainstorm. Write 20 statements of what you want from your future. And then go back when you have those things on paper and begin to edit them and say, oh, I really like this phrase. Oh, I really like that word. Oh, this kind of fits. And start to put them together. I will tell you, it actually took me a couple of years to really hone in on this vision statement. And I feel like, yes, this is it. I've landed on it. Um, but that exercise can help. And I did mine because I can't sit still for 20 minutes very easily. So I did mine in the car. I hit the record button on my notes, so it was typing it out for me, but I just spoke it out while I was driving. I didn't, and then I couldn't judge it because I couldn't watch what I was typing. I just had to write it down. So there are times that you can do that. So you're not necessarily, maybe you have a hard time finding 20 minutes to sit down and do that, but do a 20 and 20 and just write those out, because this is going to be a really important piece of getting your life in that alignment that you need and want. Okay. And remember, keep it short, one sentence, boil it down to its very essence. Um, when you get your paragraph written, go, okay, but what's really, and ChatGPT could be super helpful with that too. Write down your paragraph and say, okay, make this concise for me, and keep asking questions and prompts. And that ChatGPT is great at helping you refine things like that. Don't let them write it for you though. Has to be your passion, not theirs. And then we get to mission. Your mission is actually how you're going to reach your vision of the preferred future. So it's your purpose. Your vision is your passion. What am I passionate about? What do I want the world to look like? If you were writing your own epitaph, that's your vision, right? Your mission is, how am I going to get there? Simon Sinek calls it know your why. If you've ever seen his video on that, it's great. Go watch it. But it's how you're going to accomplish your vision. So my vision is everyone. I want everyone to be empowered, liberated, and equipped to impact their world for good. So my core mission, both personally and professionally, is that I want to create spaces where people feel valued, they feel equipped, and they feel encouraged to reach their highest potential. So my actual mission statement is, again, one sentence, short, easy to remember. I want to help you be everything that you were designed to be so that you can do everything that you were designed to do. If you know the gifts and talents and superpowers that you have, then you know what you need to be doing. You need to be utilizing those things, right? So that's my statement. So your mission is your purpose, and it's what frees us up to use our passions so that we can create the impact that we want to have on others. Purpose and passion are actually very closely related concepts, and they really influence each other a lot. They're codependent. Um, Purpose is the reason or the intention behind why we're pursuing our passion. So, passion fuels your energy and drive. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning to go do this thing that you love. While purpose gives you the energy and direction, it gives all that energy that you have, it gives it the direction and meaning behind it. Passion motivates you to take the action. I want to see people with disabilities included in the world. So purpose ensures that that action is aligned with a meaningful goal. So I'm going to create a blind hockey league where they can be involved in this sport and have fun with it like my kids do, right? And so it's aligning those two pieces. For example, somebody might be passionate about uh, helping others to find their purpose in a career. So they love helping people. So their career might be focused on social work, teachers, healthcare, education, um, those kinds of things. So passion without a purpose can feel aimless. Like, I have this passion, I love doing this, but I really don't know what to do with it. So I'm just kind of out there willy nilly, you know, Tigger bouncing around. While purpose without a passion is what leads to that burnout and lack of fulfillment. So My husband, for instance, is in the IT world, which is really not where he should be. But at this point in his life, he's been there way too long to do anything different. And he doesn't find a lot of fulfillment there. It's just a job. He knows his purpose. His purpose is to write these programs that do whatever it is the company he works for does, which right now he works for Mercy Healthcare, and he helps write these programs. That's not fulfilling to him. Now, some people are techies and they love that. He doesn't. So he has a purpose, but it doesn't mean anything to him. When he took the job at Mercy, that changed because one of his passions is serving people. He has a servant's heart and loves to do things for others. So at Mercy, their mission is to be the hands and feet of Jesus. He can get on board with that, and he loves what he's doing because he's been able to tie his purpose, I'm writing supply chain programs, to his passion that's helping people find healing. And he loves what he does, not because that's in his right hand, but because he's connected it to his passion. So together they create that balance and a powerful force that helps individuals achieve personal and professional satisfaction. And that's a great example of that. But know that if it doesn't align with my values or my passions, it's always going to be a grind. It's going to be something that I do to bring home a paycheck. That's where Christopher Robin found himself, right? I love Clayco's mission statement, which is beyond these walls. And Clayco is a construction company, if you're not familiar with them. And so beyond these walls means it's not about steel girders and pouring concrete and nails and putting up windows and those things. It's about we're building a building where medical research is going to happen and it could cure cancer. We're building a dormitory for students where they're going to learn and they're going to do something great out there in the world, whatever that might look like. We're building an Amazon facility where people are going to get the things that they need and want and fulfill their desires. So it's what's beyond the walls that I'm building. What's the real meaning behind it? And I love that because it gives what you're doing, your task, meaning that wouldn't be there otherwise. So, passion reveals what we care deeply about, and purpose frees us up and liberates us to use that passion to create a meaningful impact. And I don't think there's anybody here in the room that doesn't want to impact your world. Think about how you can tie what you're doing today into the role that you presently have. Sometimes you find that, wow, I'm not meeting my passion or my purpose. I need to take a hard left or a 180 and go a whole different direction. But a lot of times it's like my husband that you just have to find the passion within what you're doing today. How can I shift my role where I am now into fitting within my passion. For me, it was realizing that the people I worked with were people that I really enjoyed being with, and I could make the people that I served happy. And man, when they came in and saw me and they left, they should be have a different mindset, a different mood. So look beyond the task to the bigger picture. Look beyond these walls, right? To figure out what it is that you really want to be doing. So again, we're going to take a minute of personal reflection. Again, this is one to do that 20 and 20, 20 minutes, 20 phrases, and then edit them. It's the same thing, short, easy to remember. But remember, your mission is not the same as your strategy. It's not the tasks that you're going to do to get there. It's the overarching why. Why am I going to do this? Right? Because I want people to know who they are so they can do what they were created to do. That's the why. So not the strategy. We'll get to strategy in a moment. So take 2 minutes and write your mission statement, or at least get a start on it. Right. So again, keep it short, keep cycling through that. It's again, for most of you, it's not something you're going to come up with instantaneously today, but you've got to start thinking in that direction, right? And then the next piece is your values. And your values are very simply, it's the principles that you hold dear and that actually guide your choices, your actions, and your thoughts. Your values are going to define where you spend your time and energy. Hopefully, we're spending our time and energy on the things that really matter to us. And those are the things we have in our bag of very important things. Christopher Robin felt very out of alignment and dissatisfied with his life. He was really felt caught between two worlds because what was in his bag of very important things and where he was spending his time and energy wasn't where he wanted to be spending his time and energy and what was really valuable to him. Not to say his job wasn't important and doing a good job at his work wasn't important, but if it cost him his family, it wasn't worth it to him, right? And so you've got to figure out, what are my values? So your values are what you want to see in other people and what you want other people to see in you. It could be things like integrity, fairness, respect, um, excellence, uh, hard work. Everybody has something different. So, what are the things that are really important to you? It could be God, family, again, hard work, that kind of thing, just to get you thinking in the right direction. And your align your vision with your values. They should match. If the things that you're doing aren't the things that are important to you, then that's not the right passion or purpose, right? Your passion or purpose are going to align with what's important to you. One of my values is love. Well, I because I love people, I want to see you be your best. I want to help you figure out who you are so you can be the best you can be. So they have to align. If I find myself doing things that don't fit into that, well, I need to change what I'm doing. It ensures that you're not just chasing what you want, but you're actually living the principles that define who you are at the deepest part of your heart, at your core. Realizing your values is the key step to clarifying for both present oriented voices and future oriented voices. Like, everybody has to figure out, what are my values? And most of us kind of have a vague idea, like we know what's important to us, but we haven't ever really sat down and codified it like you would do for your business. But if I have a list, oh, then when I have a decision to make, it's much easier for me to decide, is this the right thing or the wrong thing, because I can check it with my mission, vision, value statements. That's why I say it's the guardrails that keeps me on that course to where I want to go. So again, here we go again. Take a couple of minutes here to define 3 to 5 values or guiding principles for your life. You really don't want to go past 5, because then it gets just too long. These are the real top important things to you. Um, well, let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more. They're just 1 or 2 word statements. Sorry. If you're willing to share, I'd love to see some of you again just pop one or two of your values in the chat there. And if somebody has a mission vision statement that you want to pop in there as well, you could share that as well. But I'd love to see some of the values that some of you have jotted down. If we were all in a room together, we'd just shout them out. But good, love that. Contributing to make a difference. I value my family and my health, compassion, empathy, faithfulness, respectful. Love those. So, and again, if anybody has a mission vision statement, go ahead and pop it in. Oh, wow, I love that. My passion is with a nonprofit organization that brings education to Uganda. That's awesome. And then you want to get that down to an easy, I don't mean like quippy statement, but just an easy statement that is compelling, has impact for you, that you get excited when, like I get excited when I read my mission and vision statement. It's kind of exciting to me. So if you find that your life is not aligning, you're doing things that don't fit in with your values, then you want to gradually decrease your commitment in those areas and redirect your focus to the things that are actually in alignment with what you believe is important, um, so that you can actually have the biggest impact, right? So it's not that, oh, I got to quit doing whatever I'm doing. You have commitments places. You don't want to just drop them like a hot potato, but you do want to gradually begin to move your life in alignment with what you believe. So you want to shift from doing more to doing better. You think about Cane's chicken, right? Or Chick-fil-A. What do? They do chicken. They don't do burgers, they don't do pizza, they do chicken, and they do chicken really, really well. And it requires that we have that clarity on what is my vision? What is my mission? What are my values, right? So you move from doing the things that are impressive to doing the things that have impact and align with your passion and your purpose. Again, that's where Christopher Robin found he'd lost himself. He was trying to do things that were impressive, but they didn't align with what was important to him. And where he really wanted to make an impact was with his daughter. And we've already done this one is sharing in the chat what those kind of things are, but also share and at least think about for yourself. If you don't want to share it, you're not comfortable with that, that's totally fine. But one thing that you can do today to shift the purpose of your present role, where you are today, the work that you're doing, or what's happening at home, either one, so that it connects more with your passion and your values. What would that one thing be? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. What is the one thing you can do to shift purpose in your role to match better with those mission, vision, values that you've at least begun to outline? And feel free to take a picture of this. You're going to get the slides later as well, but I shared a couple of examples of that in myself and my husband, and some other examples of where how that's possible, right? So that you can find meaning in a role that maybe doesn't fit totally within your 70, but you're not in a place where you can just change. But maybe you do want to look for a different role within the same organization where your duties shift a little bit and you're using your strengths to fit into your purpose at the same time. So, if you remember, our characteristics of a person of purpose was they had a vision, they had a strategy. So, let's turn to the strategy now. Strategy is those natural next steps that are going to help you achieve your vision and overcome all the obstacles that are going to get in your way. And know that those obstacles are going to happen, right? It's not going to be smooth sailing to get where you want to be. And I can tell you, for someone like me, I am that visionary thinker. I easily think of the future that doesn't exist, and sometimes it's kind of whacked out. My husband is great at pulling me back to earth and going, "You can't do that. That's ridiculous." He's usually right, but I have so many visions going on in my head that what can happen is I start to hit roadblocks, and it's not fun anymore. And so, like Tigger, I just bounce to something new and I kind of give up on that. But when the vision is really clear that this is what I want to do, like starting my own business, my vision is clear. I know what I want to do. I know what my purpose is, and I want to get there. And so I haven't turned the corner. I've stuck with it to do the things I need to do to make that happen. And so clarifying your vision can transform that nebulous into something that's tangible as you let your core values begin to shape your dream in a way that's meaningful to you. And so strategy is putting together the vision of your destination with an actionable plan of how you're going to get there. So it's like when you go on vacation, you go, I want to go to uh, Yellowstone National Park. And so you go, okay, how do I get there? And you plan your route. Well, am I going to go north and go through the Dakotas, or am I going to go straight out 70 and go up through Wyoming? How am I going to get there? Right. And so when I know what my destination is, I can figure out how to get there. Is not so hard. It's just deciding which route I want to take. And so without that coherent strategy, the gap to realizing your dreams can seem insurmountable. It's like, I don't know how to get to Yellowstone. I have no idea. Well, you get out your map, right? And these days, you get out your map and say, I want to go here, and it does it all for you, which is kind of nice. Nobody's going to do that in your life, unfortunately. That's where we get back to Lincoln. You have to create your future. But realizing your dreams happens as we make a coherent strategy, we shrink that gap, and those insurmountable obstacles suddenly become navigable. And that takes us, if we get stuck and we don't have that, that's where we just circle right back to the beginning where I'm hopeless and stuck again and I have no peace. But you think about it when you're planning that trip to Yellowstone and you find that, oh my gosh, the highway's closed or the bridge is out. You don't go, sorry, we got to go home now. The bridge is out. No, you navigate around it. You go, well, I got to go 300 miles out of my way to find another bridge, but you know what? I'm going to do that. And so you go that way. Um, and that helps us keep moving ahead. And then realizing that if you break your journey down into, those of you who are in business are probably familiar with the agile mindset, and it's breaking things down into agile sprints to create that roadmap to fulfillment and that backwards planning. It's breaking things down into the smaller themes that create milestones along the way. So I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, I have 20-hour drive to Florida or Yellowstone or whatever it might be. It's I'm going to go, and I do this when I drive. It makes that long drive not seem so long. It's like, well, in 20 miles, I'm going to be at this town, and I focus on that. And okay, got there. Well, now I'm going to next, I'm going to be in Colombia, and so I mark that, and I can mark off, hey, I'm making progress, as opposed to, oh my gosh, we're only an hour into this 18-hour drive that just it does seem insurmountable and it seems exhausting, right? But if I mark out these little goals along the way, suddenly it's very doable. And that's how we bridge the gap again from our vision and mission to those actionable plans to bring that to life. We're creating those short sprints, milestones that we can celebrate. And then it's being agile, being flexible to follow the ball. If you think about the game of soccer, I can say, I'm going to go to the goal and I'm going to stop the ball from getting to the goal, but the ball's not down there. So that's the wrong place to be. I got to follow the girl with the ball. And if she goes this way, I got to go this way. If she goes that way, I got to go that way. And so we have to be flexible to follow the ball, setting smaller, realistic goals with a flexible planning approach. So being able to adapt. To whatever comes your way and change your strategy as you get new information and new insights about where you're headed. Don't be so rigid about the plan that you can't flex and change when you need to. When you hit the detour, take the detour. You're still going to get to Yellowstone, just a little bit different way. So again, some of you are very task oriented in your personality. And so this piece seems easy to you. I can set the tasks, I can make the strategy. I'm great at making systems and processes and putting in the details of how to get there. That's your strength. But for others of you, those of us like me who are visionaries, this is the hard part. It's like, I don't want to think about the details. I just want to get there. I don't care how I get there. I just want to get there. And so I have to be very careful. And visionary thinkers, you have to be very careful that you don't get lost in the possibilities. Well, I could go this way, or I could go that way, or oh, if we went this way, we could go see this and stop and do that. But if we went that way, and I can get so lost in that I never make a decision and I never move forward and I don't take action. So you've got to make a plan, right? And just hone down, make a plan and go with it. And if you need to change along the way, being flexible and being agile will help you to get there. Another step in that strategy is to create a community. You need people around you that are going to help you live out your vision and realize your vision. It's important to have that accountability. It's also important to have that encouragement, somebody that's going to cheer for you, somebody that's going to collaborate with you, somebody that's going to critique you along the way. My husband and I think very, very differently, but that's a good thing because he is that detail person that I don't want the details. My great example of that is like painting. He's going to get out the spackle and he's going to get out the tape and he's going to tape off everything and he's going to put down drop cloths and he's going to spackle the walls and fill in the holes and sand off anything and I'm like, I don't want to do all that. I just want to paint. I just want to be done painting. And so I have actually learned to edge really well without taping because I don't want to be bothered with that. I don't like the details. But typically he's right. And when I don't put down a drop cloth, I end up with paint all over the floor. And then I'm mad at myself because I didn't do the details. So you want people who are going to help you with your weaknesses. If that's honing in on your, uh, what really is my goal, because you've got so many possibilities going, or you're not good at those details, get somebody that is good at those details. If you're great at the details, but you have a hard time making the vision, get with people that see the vision and can help you with that end of it. Share your vision, your mission, your values, and your strategic plan with other people who can help you along the way. Welcome their critique. You need people that think different than you. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But and then surround yourself with that community so that that shares your passions. They're not the naysayers. They're not the ones dumping cold water on your ideas, but they're the people that can mentor you, encourage you, and collaborate with you along the way. Surround yourself by community, but watch out for the echo chamber. Um, you don't want people that are just like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, you should do that. Oh, absolutely. And you're headed for disaster, right? You need those critical thinkers that are going to challenge your idea, help you poke holes in it to make it better, not to kill it, but to make it better so that you can shift with your agility and flex your plan to be, you're right, that's not going to work well, but if I do this, this will work well. Make sure that your community holds those diverse perspectives and has the skills that are actually going to help you improve your capacity for impact. Give them permission to check up on you and hold you accountable. Hey, how are you coming with that? Have you taken that next step? Have you done this? Have you done that? And beware of the echo chambers. So now we get to the real challenge here is you're going to actually set a goal, right? Choose one impact zone to focus on this week or this month. So we're not even talking about your full vision and the end of your movie. We're talking about today. What's something you can tackle right here, right now? And you're going to fill in the blanks. I will use my passion to pick out your superpower that fits that. Look at your 70/30. What's something in your 70 that's going to help you, get through that to motivate me to achieve a goal. What's the goal you want to achieve? And to overcome a challenge, what's the challenge you've got to get over? And put a date on it so that you actually have a not a nebulous idea out there, but a next step that you're going to accomplish. So take your passion, use it to motivate you toward action to overcome the obstacle that is keeping you from finding fulfillment. So, um, an example of this, like my example would be I'm going to use my passion to connect with people. That's one of my superpowers to motivate me to achieve a larger network and overcome the limited impact I have because I'm not meeting enough people by November 1. And I put a date on it, right? So if my vision is that everyone should be liberated to be their best self, and one of my top skills is that connecting with people, then I need to leverage that ability to connect in order to reach my vision. I need a larger network so that I can impact more people to be all that they were designed to be so they can do all they were designed to do, right? Which is my mission. So I'm closing the gap between my passion and fulfilling my purpose. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to work through this section and see if you can come up with one of those, one thing in the next week or month that you're going to accomplish. So now you have one step to move you toward your goal, which is really important. And then it's execute. So we have a vision, we have a strategy, we need to execute. I love Winston Churchill. I had the pleasure of touring the war room, which was a pretty cool experience. But he has this sign on the wall. I actually have it on the wall behind me here too. Action this day. It was about taking action and not just sitting around. And it's not taking action someday. There's no time like the present. Someday may never come, right? So this is where your strategy is tested and your vision starts to truly come to life. It's about making things happen one step at a time. It's the realization of your dreams and taking that first step towards your vision of the future that's armed with your strategy, directed by your mission, and fueled by your passion to make it actually come to life. That living color, I landed in the Wizard of Oz experience. And remember that perfection is the enemy of progress. Moving from planning to actually taking action is where vision can stall out. It can be caused by fear of failure. It can be caused by a myriad of things, imposter syndrome, other people in your way. But we're trying to be perfect, and so we don't do anything. We just go, I don't have it perfect yet, and we're afraid of failing. It's fail forward. There's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt that I won't quote it exactly. I won't get it correct, but he basically he says, "Don't be among those timid souls who never do anything because you're afraid of failure. Fail forward. Be among the brave souls who fail, but then move on and learn from that and go ahead and do great things." Um, some personalities are very pragmatic and you're naturally risk averse. You're not uh, comfortable taking risks, but and you can become paralyzed by overthinking, overanalyzing, and not wanting to share with others until you have it down perfect. Let people shape that dream with you. Share it early. Move ahead. Fail forward. And then learn from that to move on. I love the story of Thomas Edison. He didn't look at his life and go, I failed 1,000 times to find the right thing to light a light bulb. He said, I found 1,000 things that didn't light the light bulb. And then I found the one that did. You know, it's subtle, but it's a real mind shift. Have a massive bias toward action. It doesn't have to be perfect. Each step is going to provide more clarity to what the next step is. And perceived failure is really just an opportunity to learn and to grow along the way. Think of it as the little chicken hatching out of the shell. If you've ever, like when my kids were little, it was a big thing for elementary kids, especially like kindergartners, to have a chicken in an incubator and watch the egg hatch. And everything in you wants to reach into that incubator and help peel the shell back for that little chicken. But if you do that, the chicken will die because he didn't develop the strength to survive. So hatching out of the shell, that struggle to get out of the shell actually created the strength for him to survive in the real world. And our lives are the same way. Struggle produces strength. So don't be afraid of the struggle along the way. Perfection is the enemy of progress. It's better to move forward imperfectly than to stand still, stuck in the grind and dissatisfaction of defeat, right? Move forward, do something. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then celebrate every one of those milestones that you created along the way because progress to it's that step of progress toward realizing your vision. You're getting closer all the time. You're getting there, no matter how small that win is. Remember when, if you've had a toddler or you have nieces or nephews or whatever it may be, and you're standing there with that little guy and you're going, walk to daddy, come on. And they take their first step and you just cheer wildly and they look at you like, what did I do? What did I do? But they take the next step because they want you to cheer for them again, right? We're all still built that way. It motivates us to take the next step. Even though we're grown up, we still like to be cheered on. We haven't changed in that regard. So make it special. Share your progress with your friends and family. Reward yourself with a special activity or a dinner. It doesn't have to be something huge. It might be, I'm going to take a 5 minute break because I got that task done. I got that step toward what I want to do. Or it could be a huge step, a huge milestone that you want to do something bigger for. Celebration reinforces your commitment to the journey and reminds you of the progress that you're making. And again, those that community is celebrating with you, cheering you on. And then persevere. Keep the vision front and center. Put it on your walls. I have one that's in front of me on my opposite wall. I have a lot of stuff behind me, but I have one on in front of me that I see all the time. Katherine Johnson knew her vision and her mission, and she never stopped striving and struggling to make it a reality. She knew her strengths and she knew she had to what she had to bring to the table, no matter what someone else said, what they said about her, or the obstacles that they put in her way. Lean into your community when you feel discouraged. Let them encourage you. Let them help you find a way out and persevere. Perseverance is what will get you there in the end. You're going to have obstacles. I've already said that, but I want to reiterate that. It's a natural part of every journey. You have to stop and get gas. You have to stop and go to the bathroom. You have to take that detour. You get stuck in the traffic jam. All of those things happen, but they don't turn you back. Even your dream job and your dream life are going to have parts of it that are no fun and they drain your energy. But keep walking one step at a time and enjoy the journey. The favorite part of our vacations sometimes was the getting there. We just had fun along the way. The process should be fun. Don't miss the beauty of the things that are happening along the way, the relationships you're developing, the things that you're accomplishing, the things that you're learning and growing as you go. Experience that growth and enjoy it. I'm going to ask you to do a favor for me, and then we're going to come back and I've got a couple of closing comments and we'll have a time of questions. But if you could do a favor for me, I'm going to ask you to pull out your phone, snap the QR code, and give me some feedback so I know what you liked, what you didn't like, and that'll help me get better along the way. Um, you don't worry about the code. You don't really need the code. They don't necessarily ask for it. It's about a 2-minute survey, so it's pretty quick. And just let me know how you feel. If you had some actionable items that helped you move forward in your passion and purpose, or you got some value out of today, feel free to throw something in the chat if you'd like to as well. Not because I'm fishing for compliments. I just like to know what people are experiencing. And again, this will just kind of help me along the way. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to take this survey. Um, and then I'll come back and I'll close this out with a few closing comments and a Q&A. Right. So just kind of our closing comments for today is the way that we move beyond the grind of our job and it becomes something that's meaningful and fulfill us to us is to create a clear vision of a future that we're passionate about. We get excited about it, gets us out of bed in the morning. And then know your mission. It's your purpose and it gives your passion direction. Define your values as the core principles that guide you on your journey, and then create that strategy and actually execute on it. Outline the milestones, take action, and celebrate. And lastly, persevere, keep moving until it becomes a reality. Use these things as guardrails to keep you aligned to the most important things in your life and continually be checking. I don't know if you're like me, but your briefcase can get full of junk that you don't want in there. Always be checking what's in my bag of very important things. Does it align with my vision? To end the story, Christopher Robin found himself. He conquered the heffalump and the woozle and found his family again. And he changed what was in his bag of very important things. And I hope that you'll do that as well. Remember that challenges and obstacles are normal part of the journey. They're not signs of failure, but they're opportunities to grow and refine your approach to reach your vision. Be agile, follow the ball, adapting to the challenges and the changes that come. Don't give up on your vision because ultimately, the future you dream of is not just a destination, but it's a journey that's shaped by your vision, it's brought to life by your strategy, and it's realized through your execution. So enjoy the process because your future isn't something you imagine, it is something you get to create. Thank you. Just a couple little things as well. If you want to go to my website, you can snap that QR code and you can take a little leadership checkup. You can take that online and then schedule a follow up call with me. That's just a free consult to get some clarity on how to move forward and unlock your potential to be more and build that culture of champions. And then if you're interested in finding out more about your personality, which will help you determine what your strengths are and what your challenges are, you can get the Five Voices app. It's does a mini assessment of your personality. It helps you understand your communication, your relationship, your career, personal development, stress management. There's just tons of stuff in there. You can do it as a family or as a team and learn about each other, which is a pretty cool thing. It's about, I think it's $36 a year, somewhere close to that. I got mine a while ago, so I don't really remember. But those are some tools that can help you along the journey. And then I just want to give time for some questions. If you can pop those questions into the chat and we'll answer any questions that you might have. If you don't have any questions, it means I must have done a great job.